What's up woodworkers, Ben here, and in this video I'm going to be making a heavy duty wooden planter using basic tools and construction materials. And to make it as simple as possible, I'll show you a couple of really clever tricks to make sure that you never make a mistake with your measurements. This whole thing will be built with cheap materials that are easy to get from any DIY store or timber yard. And to start out, you're going to need 6 2x4s. I've designed the planter in a log cabin style, which means it'll have the ends exposed on the boards. Because of this, I want nice clean ends to get rid of the stamp that's on the end of each of the boards. Once I'd removed the end, I needed to cut 5 600mm lengths. I'm using tannalized ones, which are basically treated timber for outdoor use. If you're building an outdoor project like this, then getting the right timber is really important so they don't rot. I'm using 3.6 meter long boards, which are way too long for me to handle properly on my miter saw. So I'm using my favourite method for breaking down long boards, and that's using my Evolution battery powered track saw and one of the mini tracks they do, which I love. All I do is clamp the track to the board using the track square attachment to make sure that the track's running straight across the board and not at an angle. Then I can run the saw along the track and make a nice straight cut. I'll put a link to my review of this in the description if you want to check it out, along with a discount code in case you're thinking of buying one for yourself. You can get a similar result using a circular saw and a speed square, but there's more chance of it veering off course slightly, especially with all the cuts I'm going to be making. Plus, you need to figure out where your saw blade will actually cut in comparison to where you're putting the speed square. It's all doable, but with this method you just line the track up with where you want to make the cut and run it through. I find the best way to keep consistent with your cuts is to measure out your first one and then make the cut. But from then on, I won't measure any more for the rest of these 600mm cuts. Because once I've made my 600mm cut, I'll take that board and use it to mark out where the next cut will be. It's important if you're using this method for cutting boards that you always use the same board to mark your subsequent ones. This way you'll always have the same point of reference, and because you aren't using a tape measure, there's zero chance you could accidentally use the wrong measurement. Not that I've ever done anything like that before, of course. Once I cut my 5 600mm boards, I needed to cut 4 more boards that are exactly the same length minus the thickness of 2 of the boards, so that they can sit on the inside overlap of the log cabin design. It'll make sense when you see it. Now, I could measure these and try and get the measurements right, but instead I'm just going to use some of the boards I've already cut so that I can mark out without needing to use a tape measure at all. One thing that I've seen beginners do that you should never do is take the measurements of the standard board and use that to calculate the measurements. The problem is that the standard measurements published on websites and that kind of thing are fairly generic, and it'd be a big mistake to just assume that your boards are exactly the thickness of the published measurements, because you'd be gutted if you made all your cuts only to realise they were all too short. Again, don't ask me how I know. Once I made my mark the first time and made my cut, I then just used that board for the rest of my measurements like I did previously. By the way, I've had a few people ask me about the dust masks I use. These ones are from Basecamp Masks, and I've tried the different models that they offer, but my favourite one is definitely the M Plus model, which isn't the one that I'm wearing right now. I find this one a little bit more annoying with the large straps that go over the top of my head, whereas the M Plus has little ear loops which I find loads more comfortable. So I'll put a link in the description if you want to check them out. Next up, I needed to do the longer sides. These ones will be 1.2 meters or 1200mm. Guess how I cut these? Yep, I measured one, cut it with the track saw, then used that to mark the rest of the boards. This type of project is definitely pretty easy so far. The hardest bit is yet to come, but even that's pretty simple. I then needed some slightly shorter ones, again 2 thicknesses of the board less than the 1.2 meter boards that I've just cut, so I used exactly the same technique by marking out a measurement minus the thickness of the 2 pieces I've already cut. Now that they're all cut, I've got 6 boards at around 1.1 meters, 4 boards at 1.2 meters, 4 boards at around 520mm and 6 at 600mm. I decided that I wanted a trim around the top to neaten it up a bit and have a little bit of an overhang. So I got some 22mm thick by 75mm wide tannalized boards to do this. I'm going to mitre the corners, but in the interest of not trying to manage some really long boards on my mitre saw, I'm going to cut them to length initially using the track saw method. I also cut 4 boards to fit around the inside of the planter so that I can put the floorboards on them in a bit. Now I've got them cut down to length, it's time to put some mitres on the end. Now it's probably not the best idea to put mitred corners on something that's going to sit outside in all sorts of British weather, but I still wanted to do it, and I'll just have to be cool with the fact that they won't be tight mitres when the weather gets to it. Once I had everything cut, it was time to assemble it all. I don't know if it's just me, but I always seem to spend far too much of my time mocking up my builds to see what it'll look like. It does help when figuring out how to assemble it all, but I can't help but think I might get more done if I actually just built it rather than mocking it up constantly. Let me know in the comments if this is something you do. Anyway, you can roughly see what it's going to look like here. So once I'd taken it all to bits again, I laid out the first layer. Using a couple of clamping squares, I got it relatively square and then slathered on a load of outdoor glue on the top edges. Because there'd be so much glue on this and it won't be moved around a lot or undergo much stress, I decided to use cheap DIY store glue that I've still got lying around. I also glued the inside ends where they'll attach to the end pieces and then stuck it all together. This layer and the next are the trickiest parts of this entire build, as there's nothing holding it in place, as I didn't want any screws showing on the outside edges. Then I added the next layer. I'd done the longer end pieces and the shorter side pieces on the base layer, so the next layer was the opposite, i.e. longer side pieces and shorter end pieces. So I stuck some glue on the inside ends of the end pieces and got it all laid out again. Once I'd done that, it was time to start securing it all together. I got some outdoor rated screws that were long enough to go through the top and then secure to the next layer, and I just went around sinking a few of these in to secure it all in place. The only challenge was making sure that I didn't screw straight into the top of another one when I was screwing down a layer. Then it was just a case of repeating these steps until I built up all my layers. I had 5 layers in total. Next up was the mitered trim, so I slathered on the glue again and then added the trim pieces with the inside edge matching up with the inside edge of the planter so that there was an overhang on the outside edge. Because of how these sat, I decided I'd sink a few screws in to hold them down. I didn't really want any screws on show, but I decided that this would be worth it, and they don't really show up much anyway, so I'm pretty pleased. Then I just went round with a damp cloth, wiping down any glue squeeze out. Before I work on these baseboards, I decided to attach some feet to it. I got these little hard rubber feet off Amazon, and they're perfect for this project. They're rubber so they won't corrode, they're dense enough so that they won't squash under the weight, and they do a good job of raising the planter up just enough so that it won't be sat in water during the rain, which would seep into the wood and make it rot quicker. Next up's the floor. For this, I just cut some lengths off a board that's 22mm thick by 150mm wide. I cut enough to fill up the floor of the planter. I needed to attach the batten frame for the baseboards to sit on, so I just slathered on some more of the outdoor rated wood glue, and using offcuts of the 2x4 boards as spacers, I stuck them to the inside edges and nailed them in place with my lumberjack brad nailer. I'll leave a link to my review of this brad nailer in the description if you want to check it out. You'll notice I didn't cut the battens to full length of the inside edges, which just makes life a lot easier when installing them. Then it was just a case of placing all the boards in. I'd spaced them out so there's a gap in between for drainage, but I decided not to bother gluing them up as the weight of the soil will be enough, so just fired in a couple of brad nails in each board to stop them sliding around. Once I'd done all of that, I ran over the rougher trim pieces with 80 grit and my sander and quickly knocked down the edges to avoid any splinters. Once I'd done all of that, it was time to take it outside and add the liner. Now, as with all DIY projects, this one was done in the spring, but it then just sat outside for months until I got hold of the liner material and round to doing it. So when I eventually did get round to doing it, I put the liner in, put some staples in my nail gun, and then just went round the edges trying to get it as neat as possible before I trimmed the excess off. I also poked a few holes in the bottom where there were gaps between the baseboards to allow for the water to drain through, and then added the soil ready for planting. I love this planter and it was so simple to make. I even made one with a built-in bench seat with hidden storage, so if you want to see how to adapt the design for that, then check this video out here. I'll see you on the next one.